Good ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! Peter Ward! Villa in the lead!
Hello, good afternoon, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Instagram. Please subscribe. Do what you can to help this channel. Make sure to smash the likes on this video, as you can follow me on all socials. On today's episode, I'm joined by my special guest, Luis Miguel Echegaray, who is a journalist on ESPN, an Aston Villa fan. He's the real-life Paddington Bear, and my Monday show regular, Aaron Thornton, who is the host of The Football Brief, will be on the show. This is the deadline day special. Before the window shuts, I wonder if we'll see any new arrivals before that deadline. This week recap, your weekly dose of Aston Villa news and headlines. In the Premier League yesterday, it finished Aston Villa 0, Brentford 1. The total race takes a damaging blow. Very organised Brentford frustrate Aston Villa, but it is so important that Aston Villa bounce back against Bournemouth. Well, Louis, that's not you first. How are you?
I'm good, my friend. It's great to be here. Great to see Aaron as well. It's awesome. Like you mentioned, I'm here in New York City and freezing, absolutely freezing. And obviously the weekend didn't go as great as because of the loss, but I'm sure we'll talk about it. But it's great to be here.
It's a pleasure. I remember a few months ago, I wanted to interview with you. I really enjoyed that interview episode. It was a great interview.
I appreciate it, my friend. It's always great to be here and, to chat some Villa. And like I said last time, I say it again, I champion this channel, I champion the show and everything that you do. So it's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. And Aaron, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. It's pleasure to be here as always. And Louis, it's great to meet you as well. I've seen a lot of your stuff and what you do. So it's good to be amongst fellow villains. I'm also in New York, so I feel the cold with you. It's not used to it as a Brit. I mean, it's cold, but this is like extreme. So looking forward to the show, lads.
On this podcast, you're sort of meant to be, really. There's two guys who live in New York.
Absolutely.
Yeah, myself. I mean, it's close to what I heard. New York's a place to be. Doing close to my heart.
Well, Chad, I find it amazing that we're doing a Villa podcast where the majority of the people are in New York right now. So it's a good combination right here.
We'll talk about the negatives first. So we'll talk about that Brentford game. So I'll start with you first. Your thoughts from the things yesterday?
Yeah, Chad, I mean, I think I share everybody's sentiment, right? It was a frustrating loss. In my opinion, it was the most frustrating of the season for multiple reasons, not just because we lost, but the manner and the way that we lost. Obviously, back-to-back losses at Villa Park was really not the best way to do it. But, I just came out with a piece this morning on my Substack about it. And as I reflect on it, Chad, and Aaron, it's a lesson, I think, to be learned here. Because I think the frustration came obviously at the fact that Villa had 25 shots, which is a record this season for Villa, but only 6 on target. Villa couldn't knock on the door and actually get a goal against Brentford. I know that there was obviously the frustration over the disallowed goal from Tammy Abraham, due to VAR coming involved. But I don't think that was the reason why we lost. I think it's a factor, but it's not the reason. The reason was because I think Villa, to me, are a bit like an orchestra that love to play classical music at their best. We are reliant on tempo and rhythm, and Unai Emery's system gives us this opportunity to freely really play to a rhythm that we want. When you face an opponent that stops that tempo, it's very difficult, Villa, to break through, because in many ways, sometimes we just have a plan A, which is to be very intricate in the final third and sort of penetrate the box. And I think that Brentford, as valiant as their defensive resilience was, and I give them all full credit, it was very easy for them because we really didn't have a plan B when the plan B was staring right us in the face, which is a 6'4" Tammy Abraham ready to be more dangerous from an aerial perspective. So that's why I began by saying it was frustrating for multiple reasons, because it wasn't just losing 1-0, it was the way that we did it.
Because Tony is getting in credit to Brentford. I mean, Brentford, despite that VAR decision, that's got no reflection on our performance. Because they really frustrated us. And we couldn't break through them. And they shut off the middle of the park really well. So forced us going wide. All those times we didn't look like we was going to score. What do you make of it, Aaron?
Yeah, I have to echo everything that Luis said there as well. Look, we know how Emery plays, and we know that we've got this build up and this sort of this style, which is great, and it works more often than not. But against that block, it was just getting a bit frustrating. It was getting a bit slow, and that final third, it just. And I thought Sancho looked lively. I thought he looked okay, like he was trying, and Bailey, to his credit, was trying. But again, like Luis said, you got Abraham in the box. I don't know, Onana was injured, but you've got Mings, Onana. Just when it was sort of coming to the sort of dying embers of the game, get a big man on, throw him up top, get the ball in. Brentford aren't really causing much other than a potential counter attack. But I don't know. I sort of, when they went down to 10 men, I sort of had this feeling. I was like, we've been here before, haven't we? I don't know how this is going to play out. But credit to Brentford and Keith Andrews. That's 3 wins out of 3 this season for them. Like, he's I don't want to say he's got Unai.
It's remarkable.
He's
I mean, themselves, they're in European position. They're very organized.
They're very
well drilled. And their tactics worked. And I didn't think we did often enough. We didn't shoot enough yesterday. I think when we had the opportunity, we didn't have a go.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Chad, because we did take 27 shots. I think it's not so much that we didn't. I don't think it's so much that we didn't shoot. I think it's in the manner of how we took our chances, because only 6 of them were on target, and that's just not good enough. And look, I'll actually, Aaron made a good point here about when, as soon as Kevin Schade was sent off and they had 10 men, I also had this premonition that I thought this is actually going to be harder. Because what Brentford are going to do is set this very, very disciplined low block. And I take nothing away from Brentford, Chad. To your point, tremendous stuff, 3 straight wins. It's amazing for a set-piece coach to become a first-time manager and then do this, in the midst of also losing a lot of key players as well. I really commend them. But again, I think I stress this again. It's because we gave them a very easy homework. It was very, very much going... if you look at pretty much the majority of the sequences of play in the final third, almost all of them began the same way. You wanted to Unai Emery stress to go wide, for Ian Maatsen to overlap, Morgan Rogers to penetrate, and on the other side, Leon Bailey, who Aaron said worked well, and I totally agree. He's an inverted winger, so he had an option to go back to Matty Cash or penetrate, and he did have a glorious chance to equalize, but it went over the bar. But having said all that, every single strategy from Unai Emery was basically that, to go wide and penetrate, when really what you should have done, To me, actually, what was the most dangerous moment was when Pau Torres looked for Tammy Abraham, and it caused problems. And we should have just kept going. We should have just kept doing it. You have to basically. I mentioned Villa were like an orchestra playing classical music. They should have gone Ozzy Osbourne and do heavy metal and just go direct, aggressive, just right at the keeper, because Kelleher did a wonderful job in stopping some attempts. But he only had 6 shots on target.
He didn't have much
That's
to do,
it.
really.
You got to do more than that. Yeah, exactly. So fair play to Brentford, absolutely spot on. But I think that Villa gave them a very easy task. We could have been much harder on them.
You thought like that Everton guy? You thought they were similar to the other guy? Well, for me, we're too pedestrian, I thought. And even the likes of Rodgers, look, he didn't seem himself either. He wasn't like his normal self like he usually was.
Yeah, I think, it was him in the interview, wasn't it, who said that players, need to step up in the absence of injured players. And look, Rodgers has done a lot this season, and you sort of want other players to follow suit. And I again, Louis made a good point with Pau Torres. The amount of times he picked up that ball, and a couple of times he did put it in the box, and the other times he gets it and you're thinking, put it in, and he goes wide again. And I understand you've got to sort of keep teams guessing, but we got so predictable. It was obvious what we were trying to do.
Here's the thing. You know the likes of Tammy Abraham? When he was crying out for service, the big touch-strong player like a kid, you need to get crosses in the box.
Yeah. I just think no one was fully at it. Like, Konza and Torres, like everybody just didn't seem as focused, and it was just a bit lethargic at times. And it's like, come on, I think, the worry is now as well is like that. Such 2 home games now when we've known for having a fortress, which has been amazing, and but with losing 2 games at home, so home form's dipped slightly, and then the teams behind who are picking up points, getting momentum. It's like we just need to steady the ship a bit. I don't want to go dramatic and think this is the be all and end all, because we've got ourselves in a very good position. We're still in a very good position, but we just don't want these results to sort of end the mentality and creep in a bit. So look, it's going to be a big week.
They're not far behind, but United, are they?
No, it's a 5-point cushion now, and it used to be in double figures, and you can't take anything away from United as well. Michael Carrick is doing well, and Chelsea won, Liverpool won. It wasn't a good weekend at all. Having said that, Tottenham Hotspur did Villa a favour with that draw against Manchester City. So even though Man City are in second now, it's only by a point. But I do want to say one thing, and it's what Aaron mentioned. It's February. There are still 42 points available. There's still a lot of football to be played, and we're only 7 points from the Premier League leaders in Arsenal, who obviously had a tremendous weekend, and I still see them as favourites to win it all. But 42 points available, 7 points left. And a key component here, by the way, is that we now have a little bit of a breathing room, no midweek action as well, because obviously with the key absences and Bouba Kamara and John McGinn and Yuri Tillemans, Ollie Watkins didn't play, like Amadou Onana had muscular fatigue, like there's a lot of injuries going through. So now the fact that we only have to focus on Bournemouth as opposed to a Europa League this week, I think hopefully that's going to start. And when you look at on paper, February should be a place where Villa pick up points. But 42 points available, everybody. We still have a lot of football to be played.
Agreed.
Let's remember as well that we got a depleted squad. Let's remember we got Kamara out. McGinn Tielemans. Aston Villa's strongest positions is the midfield. And you take those midfielders out, a complete different team. So it's hard to adjust without those players.
It's a good point, and I think I don't like to make excuses, because I think and Unai's proved that we carry on, and the players we've got have to step up, and so I don't want to use the excuses of injuries, because every team has them. But you are right, Chad. Like the midfield is a very very strong and central premise to how we play, and those 3 players are massive. I thought Douglas Luiz looked good again yesterday. I thought he seemed to just slot in seamlessly, and I love Onana, big Onana fan, really am. and you can't help injuries. But when I heard it was like muscle fatigue, I was like, come on, man. Like, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't have played Thursday, but then I'm not in Unai's position. I don't know how he's thinking, I don't begrudge any decision he makes because he does it for a reason.
Yeah.
But we missed Onana yesterday. Someone in that just a bit more of a presence. Bogard, but
what it is, I think,
more stability.
we got those injuries. You need somebody else to step up in those moments. It's not like a young player. Like, I know that Alonso's gone out on loan, but someone like him is going to step it up. When you rely on your top players, like not just John McGinn. We missed John McGinn's leadership. You need someone to grab the guy and scruff its neck. That's what you need.
And Luis says about tempo. And McGinn, I do feel McGinn is such a big tempo setter. When John McGinn's on it, like the team is on it, and if he's going full pelt, like I feel like he's really good with that tempo setting. So, yeah, I agree, Chad.
Yeah, there's no denying that, losing all those midfielders is key. I mean, as you both mentioned, they are not just important players. I think they're key players, and the other component as well is. The foundation of tempo literally begins in the midfield for Aston Villa. So when you lose all those players, it can be an issue. I agree totally with Aaron. I think Amadou Onana has become so pivotal. His physical presence, the way he, can reclaim a ball like he was Claude Makelele. Like it's a very, very impressive feature that he has. I think that what happened on the weekend was he wanted to play, but Unai Emery opted for him not to do it. And it's the same with Ollie Watkins, who wanted to play, but Unai Emery didn't want to risk him. I agree. Like how much could we have done maybe without him on Thursday as opposed to now? But it's arguing with apples and oranges because the win on Thursday means that we have home advantage in the knockout stages at Villa Park, which is huge. And ultimately, guys, I think honestly, most Villa fans will tell you right now that their priority is a piece of silverware as opposed to anything else. I want Champions League football, but you win Europa League, and that kind of like solves a few birds over one stone. So the focus is there. But I think that, like I said, 5 days of just training and rest, no midweek action. All eyes on Bournemouth, a team, by the way, who loves to press, which is something that we like. So hopefully it'll be a difference.
Also, without Ollie Watkins, you can really tell that when he's not on the pitch, you don't really notice until he's not playing.
Yeah, he's our first line of defense, Chad. Yeah, he's our first line of defense.
He stretches like the stretching the play.
Yeah, Chad, this is why I go nuts over some Villa fans sometimes where they get frustrated with Ollie Watkins because never mind the fact that he's the Premier League's all-time scorer for the club. But people I think that I need people to just watch Ollie Watkins when we don't have the ball and the work that he does. It's fundamental and it's different to Tammy. And so he's going to be very important. So I champion the fact that he was rested this weekend if it means that he's going to be available for the longevity of the season.
Well, you get the screen there. The VAR decision. So what do you guys make of this decision? It took a long time to make a decision. And I'm just getting sick and tired.
Do you know? I mean, I might sound controversial. I don't know. Like, I was watching the game on TV, obviously, and like when they showed the replays, I was like, "Oh yeah, the ball's out." Like, it was out. So, yes, taking VAR away for a second, like for me, the ball went out. So that's the right decision that it did go.
Yep.
Talking about VAR and the length of time and is it conclusive or not, like. It's nonsense. We know it's nonsense, and there's been a lot of decisions like this that have gone the other way. So it's massively inconsistent. I just don't really. I don't see anything really changing anytime soon. So I don't know anymore. So I just sort of get over it now. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, whatever, because we know.
I was in the stadium yesterday. It took about 5-6 minutes to make a decision. And the fans were getting frustrated.
I was going to say, what's it like for you?
Oh, it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Talk about the game, or would you?
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on this, and some of it is from what Aaron just said. Let's begin with the obvious fact: the ball was out, so it's fine. So we can make that call straight away. But to me, that's not the issue. The issue to me is two things. Number one, I think that the biggest problem that VAR has, and there's a lot of problems that we have with VAR, but when it works, it's really justified and it's great to see. But I think the biggest problem that we have with VAR right now is when they intervene specifically in this situation, which is like to say, how far back in the face of play are you going to go in order to do this? Because when you go back to 2023 between Arsenal and Newcastle, this is a similar circumstance that this happened, and Anthony Gordon's goal was allowed. So there's an inconsistency in it purely because of how much of a judgment you're making about how far back, which is something Unai Emery said after the game. It's like, how far back are you now going? Are you going to go back 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Is 20 minutes too much? Because VAR, I feel like at this point, are just making a call themselves, just saying, look, I think you need to look back at this. Leon Bailey's ball goes out of play, but it's way back from when the goal actually happened. So that's my issue there, one. And number two, I personally think that VAR should not intervene in this at all. VAR should only be there when it comes to serious penalty decisions, goals that have been like actually done in that sequence of play, because this wasn't the right sequence of play, and offsides, that's fine, and serious violent conduct fouls. I'm okay with all of that. But when you use VAR for this, which goes way back in a sequence of play, then you're asking the referee to look again. I think that's just intervening way too much. But I will go back and say that it was, yes, the ball was out of play. So it's not, that's why I said that we didn't lose the game because of this. But something needs to seriously be looked at when it comes to VAR interference.
Go and see what the point is. I'm an assistant referee. I don't think VAR is there for clear, obvious errors. And it's not being used for that at the moment, for what it's there for.
Yeah, and this wasn't clear and obvious. You needed 4 or 5 minutes to look at this to make a decision. So, and unfortunately, I feel like it's going to get worse because, you know, there's obviously reports now that the World Cup is going to have VAR over corners. So, like, you know, how much are we going to include? So again, in terms of this game, this is not why we lost, but it obviously played a factor because it was obviously scored as well within the first 10 minutes of action in the second half, which would have totally changed the momentum. But I don't blame the loss on this. I blame the loss on everything else, but this obviously didn't help.
Did it take the referees out of the game?
Yep.
You can understand the son's frustration. You can sort of understand this. There's the difference between the teams near the bottom staying in the Premier League side or on the top of the time and winning the Premier League. That's a difference the decision could come down to.
Yeah, it's a good point, Chad. But unfortunately, you know, look, VAR is here to stay, and it's whilst this current incarnation's not, you know, brilliant, it's it's gonna you know. Hopefully, there's a world where eventually all of these sort of issues get teased out and it becomes this really, really good system that's just flawless. But it's going to take a while, and we're going to have these, you know, these decisions are going to keep coming. Unfortunately, you know, look, it happens a lot. We were unfortunately on the end of it yesterday, but there's a lot of teams this season that have suffered from it. And you know, I'm in agreement with Louis as well, though, like this wasn't the reason we lost. It was frustrating, but like as soon as, you know, as fans, I know Lou would have watched it on TV as well. Like we would have seen straight away as soon as the replay. I was like, well, yeah, that's out. So like, I felt sorry for the Villa fans and the players because I can see them all waiting. I'm like, well, we know it's out. Like, didn't think VAR would go that far back, but as soon as they said they were going to look for the ball if it was out, I was like, well, I know what the outcome is going to be here.
Yeah, it's not why we lost. We took 27 shots against 10 men for more than a half, and we didn't win. So, you know.
And the better team won.
Don't dwell.
Yeah.
The better team won.
Let's move on, Chad. We're done.
So, the Real Madrid rumours there. So,
oh, great. More fun news.
You really get these negatives out of the way.
You get the negatives out of the way first. Won't you make a Real Madrid? Wanting Emery Real Madrid. I don't want to believe it's going to happen.
Go on, Louis.
I might take a little bit of time. I'm gonna try not to. I just want to add context here because there's a reason why I haven't even talked about it on social media or written about it or whatever. Number one, we live in a world in football right now where as soon as a rumor or a report comes out, it's just a volcano of overreactions. And we think that it's the worst thing in the world. And so from one piece of reporting, it becomes an avalanche of overreaction. And we think, oh my goodness, this is the worst. He's going to leave, don't leave. He gets, obviously the media make a lot of it out of it. So they ask him questions, they post about it. So let me just bring some context. Real Madrid, number one, their plan A is to stick with Arbeloa. That's what they want. That's who they want. He is a manager that comes from the club. He knows La Cantera, the academy, very well. Their whole incentive is to see how this goes with Arbeloa. Number two, there have been no conversations, no talks, no strategic planning about bringing anybody else in aside from Arbeloa. If the reports of Unai Emery being part of a shortlist is a report, it's because hello, I'm sure Unai Emery is part of many shortlists in many reports. But he, as from my own reporting and sourcing and multiple reports, I can tell you that Real Madrid have no conversations, no talks, no meetings, no advanced anything about not just Unai Emery, but anybody externally. The plan is Arbeloa, right? So let me just say that. So that's one part. The second part is that if you just want my opinion about it, obviously Real Madrid are one of the greatest clubs in the world, historically, probably the biggest ever. And there is the Spanish connection. Unai Emery is from Basque Country, obviously, the language, etc. But that's where it ends because Unai Emery is very much like Xabi Alonso in that he's a professor, a strategic manager, somebody that wants everything so disciplined. That's not Real Madrid. The reason why it's worked with Aston Villa is because he has complete control. Wes Edens and Nassif Sawiris have said to him, this is the keys to your kingdom. Do what you want. Here's your support system. And that's why it's working, because Unai Emery has complete control. That is the complete opposite of Real Madrid, who are owned, directed, even though he's just president, by Florentino Perez. He says and makes and does. And then below him are a bunch of executives who also make decisions. That's why Xabi Alonso left, because he wanted control. He wanted to discipline and create an identity, and that's not the Real Madrid way. So I'll ask everybody as just a rhetorical question. Do you really think Unai Emery, who believes fully in being in complete control, wants an identity, wants to go to a club who's not going to give him that, even if it's Real Madrid? To me, he's done it already with PSG, and it worked as to a limit. So that's my answer. There are no conversations, no internal talks, nothing from Real Madrid's perspective. Of course, he's going to be on the shortlist. He's on many shortlists, but I personally don't see anything. Now, the key thing here is obviously on the most important thing, which is us. Let's focus on us, because the most important thing is for Villa to win a trophy, which is what Unai Emery wants so badly. After that, let's talk, because a lot can happen. But as of right now, everything is just conjecture.
So let's remember Maybe as well that he's halfway through projects. Why would you want to leave halfway through the project he wants to get the silverware? And of course, those rumours are going to be there, because he's a world-class manager. I mean, just worry me hearing those rumours. But nothing's proven. There's no concrete proof.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I was waiting to hear Louis' point on all of this. I've heard a lot over the last few days, so it's refreshing to hear that opinion. And I look as a very realistic and balanced Villa fan. That doesn't shock me, and I think it's for those who understand Villa and how it works, that makes a lot of sense. That it's very different to Real Madrid. So I'm in complete agreement. The only thing I will ask, and this is more just an opinion for Chad and Louis, just to sort of throw it out there. If Villa, let's say Villa don't get Champions League, and with these ongoing PSR, SCR constraints, and I know Unai's aware, it seems like he works very well with the board. They all know where they're at. They know where the land lies with Villa and that. So that doesn't seem an issue. But if this continues and it becomes more of a frustration, would that ever come into his thinking, do you think, Louis, or is he just accepting of that's Villa, that's where we're at now, or do you think eventually it's like, okay, I can't get this player, or I'm having to get old players in, or I'm having to use the same players? Is that going to become a frustrating thing, or I don't know that you probably understand it more than me, so I just wanted to see what you think about that.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question, and I'll tell you, Aaron and Chad, that I've interviewed Unai Emery. I know him personally. I know more Damir Vidagani as well. So it is no secret that it's incredibly frustrating. PSR, which will turn into SCR, which actually is probably worse for Villa because it's more about squad cost ratio as opposed to bringing marketability. So there's no doubt about it that it becomes very much a frustration. But the answer lies within, what the project is. And the project is Aston Villa is Unai Emery's project. It's his baby. He controls everything, regardless of financial limitations. So I think that, not getting Champions League football, to your point, is fundamental because that is a lot of money that comes in. So that's why I think winning the Europa League, it solves multiple problems there, right? So, yeah, exactly. And it's money, silverware, Champions League. But not winning Champions League, not winning a piece of silverware, obviously it's going to be detrimental to the project. And we can't tell what's going to happen in the future. But to me, that becomes a massive, massive burden. I don't think it's enough for him to say, I want to leave, because I think that, again, he thinks about the things that he wants to implement. I mean, we have to remember something. Unai Emery didn't just become a manager yesterday. He's managed Valencia, Villarreal, Arsenal. He's managed in Russia. He's managed PSG under Qatari ownership. He knows what it's like to run a club under a massive, massive ownership. Real Madrid is exactly that as well, or any other club. So I think he's in a point of his career where he thinks, I want to be at a club where I have complete say and I can create something and build something, and that's Aston Villa. So, but you do bring the very good point, which a lot of this depends on Champions League football and everything. I just think that this is Unai Emery's project, and unless something completely devastating happens, I don't see him changing his mind. And by the way, I see us getting Champions League football as well. So, and the hope for me is that we get Europa League as well, which is a massive testament. So we'll have to wait and see, but there's no doubt about it that the Premier League restrictions and squad cost ratio stuff are adding a toll on everybody. But I'll just finally add this. As much as it's frustrating on Premier League clubs when it comes to PSR and SCR, I want to remind everybody that La Liga, unless you manage Real Madrid or Barcelona, you are so financially restrained as well, which he has already experienced. He's already experienced that. And he already knows what it's like to manage a Champions League team in Villa and PSG. And, of course, taking Arsenal to the Europa League final. So, to me, it's more about the state of mind of what Unai Emery is. And we will get Champions League football and we will win a piece of silverware as well.
I think a big thing that Emery, I think, is every season consolidates Champions League finish. I don't think Emery even enough to win a trophy. To me, that'll top it off for me. That's what he needs to do next, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much smashed every single record. He's our greatest manager, like in my lifetime, but in Villa history, really, like he's on that way, isn't he? He's on his way to becoming that. So it's like, yeah, a trophy would really, really consolidate all the good work he's done. Just on Vidagani quickly as well. Sorry, Chad. He's very vocal on X, and yesterday he was clapping back at a couple. Not clapping back with the wrong phrase, but he was making a really strong point, to some fans and stuff like, we are working under these restrictions, and we've got a lot going on behind the scenes. And he sort of called out Emi Martinez as well in this rant on. I don't know if you guys have seen it on X. He was like,
who was doing this?
Vidagani.
Oh, really? Because I'm not on X anymore. So Vidagani goes up on X. Okay, so he was saying a few things. Yeah.
I have a look. I mean, well, whatever you're on. But he sort of like just this long like litany of things, and on there was a bit. It was like we had a goalkeeper who tried to force a move and all that, and it was like, whoa, okay. So the frustration was really there, but just interesting. But I do like Vidagani.
He's right though. He's right, and I know him personally, and he wears his heart in his sleeve, and You know, he's been Unai Emery's right-hand man for a while, and he's right. I mean, and he's right to call it out because, you know, and I think it's just a fact. It's like, I don't think we understand because we follow this club and we love this club, but anybody else, even you know, people from the industry, don't get just how much more difficult it is for Villa because we have the ambitions of Manchester City, of Arsenal, of even all of them in the quote-unquote Big Six, but we don't have the marketability of them. And so that becomes incredibly difficult. And what I mean by that is that even if United end 17th in the table, they spend a lot of money because they're Manchester United and they're reliant on their marketability and their revenues. My point. Chelsea is exactly the same thing. Villa, we don't have that marketing power. We don't have the South Asian community of Manchester United fans that United do. We have a history. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we don't have the marketability. So it becomes very difficult to bring revenue compared to the likes of Manchester City or Manchester United. So that's why Vidagani is saying this. And then this past summer, we only bought in Evan Gisand, who now is not here anymore. And to his point, we thought on the final day of the transfer window, Emiliano Martinez was going to leave. I mean, that's Jacob Ramsey was going. So there's so many mountains that we have to climb. The fact that we are third in the Premier League is incredible. It's incredible because, you know, we're 1 point away from a team that just bought Antoine Semenyo and one of the best center backs in England, and Mark Gay. And we're 1 point away from that. Like, that's insane. And so sometimes I really want Villa fans to just sit back and be like, it's not just Emery, it's Damian Vidagani, Roberto Olave, the entire team. It's amazing what we have done in this winter, in this campaign.
They've got the best revenue. Also, they've got good revenue. I didn't say actually, they've got the best revenue. Do they host other events? Obviously, NFL. You got the concert, other events. They thought ways to bring in the revenue. They need to try and make Aston Villa a global brand.
Correct.
I think we're starting. It just takes a lot. It takes years, mate, unfortunately. And that's why we're doing so many preseason tours in America, which is great for us because we get to see them. But, you know, I think that's why we're trying to really branch out. But
I will say, Aaron, though, if I can just interject, one thing that I've been very critical of Villa for many years, like a long time. And because this is a market that I know very well, I used to cover, you know, I was the main principal voice for ESPN Deportes. So I know very well the Premier League market in Latin America. And Aston Villa in Argentina, Peru, Chile, all these countries is big. It keeps growing. And it's for reasons such as Dibu Martinez, who like attracts a lot of attention. It's all this, exactly. But in 2026, for Aston Villa not to have an official Spanish-speaking account that directly communicates with this audience is a massive loss because there's so much to be done. Like you mentioned the USA tour, like the vast majority of Villa fans around the Americans are Spanish speaking. And it's mainly really because of Dibu Martinez. Like to not attack that, like a perfect example is when Tottenham capitalized on Heung-min Son. They specifically made a South Korean connection. They went on tour to South Korea. If Aston Villa went on tour to Argentina in the summer, it would absolutely sell out with Dibu Martinez alone.
It's good idea.
The same way how you know, Raúl Jiménez, when he was with Wolves, they capitalized on the Mexican market as well. We don't do that. We don't capitalize. We've had Dibu Martinez for a long time. We had Dibu Martinez before he was a World Cup champion, and we have never capitalized on that. So that, you know, you're talking about global reach. That's what we need to hit the market, and we haven't done so yet. So,
and being here as well, speaking to a lot of South Latina fans and stuff, like a lot of them know Villa because of these players and Cruz, Angel, Solano, Martinez, obviously recent times. But that's a really
I was at the Club World Cup final covering it, right? Chelsea against PSG. The reason why I bring it up, Aaron and Chad, is because the vast majority of Chelsea fans there had an Ecuador flag because of Moises Caicedo. Like, so, you know, Chelsea fans in the Americas are mainly Latin American, and a vast younger of them are from Ecuador, simply because they love Moises Caicedo, they follow that team now, and now they've become Chelsea fans. Like, we need to do exactly the same thing with what we do. Yeah.
Good point.
Messi to Inter Miami.
Yes.
Do you know how much that got?
The global credibility that we
example.
haven't, the global credibility that we haven't capitalized on Dibu Martinez alone is very annoying, because he just grows the audience of Villa in Argentina and South America just by himself. Villa don't need to do a single thing. But imagine if they did, like, that would be ridiculous.
So we'll talk about, like, Gesson. Since we got out on loan to Crystal Palace. So, Aaron, do you think letting Gesson go into Crystal Palace, do you think it's the right decision?
Yeah.
Letting go out on loan, yeah.
In short, yeah. I mean, look, if it means he's going to play more football and he's going to feel comfortable and fit in the system, we haven't got to play Palace again. They're not really a threat to us. So, like, it's a load. If he absolutely tears it up and he's on fire, then, you know, I think we can bring you back unless he hits certain milestones. I don't know the full conditions of the agreement, but look, I wasn't a Gesson hater. I wasn't against him. I just didn't really understand him.
I don't think it'd be big enough.
I didn't think he was up to the standard. And we need players who are sort of bang at it now. And look, it's a shame it didn't really work out in the time he was there. But I know Palace was sniffing around him in the summer as well. So it was a move that seemed to make sense. I was a bit shocked initially because of Marlon going, and I think just Gesson as an option. So I was initially shocked with him going. Now he's gone, and where he's gone to, like, I think it does make sense personally. I think, you know, Bailey's come back already, has looked more of a threat, dare I say, than Gesson. But I don't know. I mean, you boys might know more than me in terms of his preferred position. I don't quite know where he fits. I know at Palace an interview.
I think
anywhere, but
yes, I don't think he's adapted to it. I don't think. Since he moved to Aston Villa in the Premier League, I don't think he's adapted properly. And he hasn't really hit the ground running. Look, he only showed glimpses. But for me, I don't think he's consistent enough.
Yeah.
So I'm in the camp of Evan Gesson. To me, just needed a little time to adapt and to be part of the system, which, by the way, to your point, Shad, the reason why he hasn't adapted, I think, is because the system actually didn't fit him very well. I remember watching him a lot back at Nice, where he was very, very productive. And yes, it's Liga, and it's obviously not as strong as the Premier League, but also with the Ivory Coast. And where he's really, really good at is actually sort of that support striker role, coming off the striker from either wing. And Unai didn't use him like that. He used him more as a right winger, coming in. And he's somebody that's very reliant on strides, right? He's not a quick touch kind of player. He's somebody that needs the ball and run with it. And when you have Morgan Rogers in there already doing that, it's just not enough space. So I kept pleading. I'm with Aaron. Like, I didn't love his productivity, but I didn't hate it because I knew that there was something there. And he was helping out in the Europa League as well. I believe he scored 4 goals in the competition before he left. So, and so the facts are, Unai Emery wasn't thinking of him going, but just like Daniel Malin, an opportunity came. And the money was good because aside from the fact that it's an option to buy, the loan itself was about 2 million as well. So money comes in for the club. The wages obviously are not there. And in that specific position that Unai Emery was using, I think Leon Bailey can do just as much or if not more. And also remember, once Alisson becomes fit, we have another inverted right winger as well. So that's 2 players. Harvey Elliott, we'll have to see what happens with him. But I wasn't, and Aaron made a good point that he's going to a club that we don't have to face anymore. There's a different situation. So to me, it's just one of these things where, Unai didn't want him to leave, just like Daniel Malin. But when the money comes in and the club needs it, then, so to speak. Now, if it was somebody like, obviously, Amadou Onana or somebody. That's a different conversation. But he wasn't. He's a player that wasn't contributing as much. And now we have Leon Bailey and Alisson once he comes fit. So that area is already populated. So to me, it was more about being patient with him. It didn't happen. I wish him nothing but the best.
Good in the me, I think. Any decision making in the final third?
Yeah, it's just the Premier League is so much quicker than League A. Like in the Premier League, you don't have room to blink. You can't blink in the Premier League. In League A, you can. In the Netherlands, you can. In La Liga, to a certain degree, you can. In the Premier League, you cannot. Like, I'm not saying, people from La Liga are going to argue with me about what the best league in the world is. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the Premier League is an absolute no blinking allowed. You have literally no time, especially in his position, to do anything. So I agree with you. It was difficult for him to adapt.
Yeah. It's not been like guess or not. So I think in most clubs, some players don't suit every team. And maybe Aston Villa is not the club for him. Yes, look at Crystal Palace. They've got some African players. Maybe that might suit Gasson more. Because we're talking about Crystal Palace.
The Palace system under Glasner is much more what you do without the ball, which fits Gasson so much better. He can push, counter, recover the ball and go. Whereas Villa are about, as we've been saying, tempo, anticipating the triggers, pushing within the final third and intricately trying to play the 1-2. That's not Evan Gasson. So I think, I agree. I think it fits Palace way more.
So Aaron, we're going to talk about Tammy Abraham and Douglas Luiz. So do you think signing Abraham and Luiz is good enough to continue pushing for the title race?
The title race. Whoa, yes. Yes, Chad, I do. I'm not going to lie. I was with Tammy and Douglas. To be fair, I was getting quite emotional because obviously, Tammy was a massive part of our recovery from the Championship, and he was that penalty.
The both of them, they both love the football club. They got a special relationship. Yeah,
that's a really good point, Chad. I think that's the key. I think that's the key in all of this and these sort of transfers, this window, and it's been well documented. This stage of the season in January, you want players up and running, you want them ready to go. You haven't really got time to be embedding them in learning systems and stuff. So I think Tammy's halfway there with knowing the club, knowing the fans, the area. Obviously, he still needs to understand Unai and his ways, but he's a smart lad. That'll come. Douglas Luiz was, I think, after Tielemans got injured, I wasn't aware that obviously I saw the ankle go and I thought, okay, it might not be anything too serious, maybe a couple of weeks. And then obviously when we got the news that he was out as well, it was a no-brainer to get Douglas Luiz. And actually quite a nice story for him. And I didn't, I knew he was affectionate about the club and I knew, he obviously loved his time at Villa, but the fact that he was straight away was like, "Yep, I'm coming," and he's done all the social media stories and just a lovely sentiment for him and a lovely story and
decision.
He looked good.
The injuries we've got, injuries we've got, is a real good option, I think. To players like that, know the club really well.
Yeah,
I know Emery's always restricted with the amount of money he can spend.
Exactly.
As well.
Exactly. And Tammy as well just gives, we know Watkins has been carrying a bit of an injury as well. So that's another thing why, it annoys me when fans get on his back, not an excuse, but he's not been fully fit for a lot of the season and he's still been producing relatively well. So it's actually quite nice for him now to have somebody else can play alongside him or can give him a rest. He can sort of use both. So that's good. But I think Tammy from now until the end of the season will come up with some big goals, man. I think he's going to be, he gives us, like Louis was saying earlier, area lead in the box is just another option, another threat. I mean, Ollie's a great at headers as well, don't get me wrong, but just having that physical presence in that box is going to be key. So to your question, Chad, I think they're great signings and I think they can help us push for sure.
And going to the later stage of the show, I'm going to get our predicted lineups on. I forgot to do this at the beginning. I'll get it on the screen. This is my team first. And obviously Martinez, for some reason, besides Bismarck, that should be Martinez. Didn't like went wrong with the graphics on that. Apologies for that.
It's okay.
Yeah, but we're going to put, so obviously Martinez. Obviously, look, Matty Cash.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, then they've got Lindelof. I'll show it in my team, my chosen path. Yeah, I think it's Paul I went for, obviously. What do you make of that, Aaron? I got for Bogart. I'll tell you the reason why I got for Bogart.
Good. That was my standout. Yeah.
I think away from home. I was just thinking, Douglas Luiz. I think it was the ball to read in the pressing. I don't know if he's sort of more defensive minded. I just don't know away from home. If Douglas Luiz has got the legs.
Interesting. Yeah. Again, I like Bogard, and I think if he's next to Onana, he'll be covered somewhat. I don't know if he's got that sort of, because Onana is going to be more defensively minded, and I think you want the other one to sort of be going forward more. I don't know if Bogard's got that intent as much, but it's not a bad side, mate. It's I like to think that any sort of lineup that we have is strong enough to beat Bournemouth. Respect to Bournemouth, because I mean their manager and their team are very well set up. It's always a tricky game. So, and I expect the same on Saturday. But I expect Villa to sort of go there and
we need to bounce back.
Yeah, and under Unai we tend to do that. I don't think. I imagine there was some words, and I imagine he wasn't happy at all. So I expect to bounce back. I expect a big performance on Saturday, especially with the week.
The Torres in concept. They'll play together, obviously. They got a great partnership as well. I think that would be obviously the two centre backs.
Yeah.
You go to your team, Aaron? Yeah, go to yours. This is your team. Obviously, Martinez, in goal, obviously.
Yeah.
Nothing just got to Matt across the back.
Yeah.
Do you still do this week to another?
Yeah. I want to see them, man. I want to see them together, and I think Luiz, he's already said he's gonna play his absolute socks off. So I think to your point about not having legs, I tend to disagree, Chad. We don't disagree often, but I do think with Douglas Luiz, I think he'll be fine.
Even away from home.
Yeah. I think he'll be fine. I've gone Watkins up top. He's rested, hopefully, and if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure he scores against Bournemouth quite a lot, Watkins, or he's a bit of a thorn in their side. And I just think just having him, I mean, I wouldn't mind who starts out of him and Abraham together would be great, but I do think Watkins starts. And I think
if Watkins is fit, he will start.
Oh, I just love him, Matt. I think he's just, I think Watkins is just an absolute.
And he's got a good record against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Was it last season he broke the record?
Yeah, and like we said, they like to play with the press, and that is, you've got your players like Sancho, Rodgers, Watkins who can run and stretch and get in behind. So I do think it's good, and I think the back 4-5, including Debu, is it's settled. It's nice. Mings can come in. Lindelof, who I think, by the way, Lindelof has been an absolute revelation this season. I know even if he started, I wouldn't have any issues, but
he's been magnificent.
Getting that consistent back 4-5 is pretty important, and then you push on from there. So Unai's not going to pick that team because I always get it wrong, but it's it'd be.
Well, it's good to have a debate about it.
Pardon?
It's good to have a debate about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll go on to the next point then. So,
I think. I just wanted to add. I think that's spot on, that lineup. I think that's exactly what I would have. I think, and by the way, Ollie Watkins has, what is it? It's 2 goals and 4 assists in 7 appearances against Bournemouth. So, he's absolutely spot on for that. Bournemouth, by the way, are doing very well recently, undefeated in the last 5, not including the FA Cup. And it's a little early for me to think about the predicted lineup, but I think that's the one that I would go for. Just because I understand that Tyrone Mings need to bring in some physicality, but what Pau Torres lacks in physicality, he makes up in creativity, and I think that's the most important thing that you need against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a team that are going to wake up our triggers very quickly. They're going to press, they're going to push you, and I think we need to be very good on the ball for that day. And I'm hoping also that Ross Barkley's available as well to come off the bench. So, there's going to be a need to be very protective. The only one I would say, maybe Lucas Dean starts this one just because his ability to pick up a cross from very deep can be beneficial. But aside from that, it's a spot-on lineup. And I think Jadon Sancho is going to have a lot of fun in this game as well.
Yeah. And Aaron, you haven't seen any updates about those signings? So it looks like I don't think we're going to do any business, but you don't look like it, does it now?
No, I mean, I was scouring X, which is dangerous, fun and dangerous because you get a load of nonsense on there, don't you? I like to think I've got, I follow people that, are fairly good. But no, the only thing I could see was that we were loaning out younger players, which is, fair enough and makes a lot of sense. But I think we're done, it seems like. I think Loftus-Cheek was I don't think we could afford him. And I don't think AC Milan, if he's going to go, they want to sell, don't they? And we can't afford to buy. So, unless anyone knows anything different, it sounds like we're done, but
no, I think it's done. Aloba's gone back to West Brom just for a loan to just get some. Like Aaron said, it's more about taking out the young boys to get some experience. Loftus-Cheek was an option as opposed to Douglas Luiz, but he was way too expensive, and also Douglas Luiz I think is much a better fit. All the characteristics fit. Douglas Luiz is not just. Douglas Luiz, I'll tell you where, because we have to remember, Yuri Tillemans was not getting in the lineup because of Douglas Luiz back when he was here. And part of the reason is because Douglas Luiz, Yuri Tillemans is an absolute architect and a master at pinpointing passes. But I think where Douglas Luiz is a little bit better is in moving the chains, rhythm. He's much better in the short passing and anticipating the ball before it comes to you. So he's going to be an added thing. So
he likes pass from deep.
Well, not only that, Chad, but he's very good at knowing what to do right before the ball comes. I think sometimes Yuri Tillemans can be a little bit lackadaisical. Douglas Luiz's awareness is tremendous, so it's going to be another thing. But in terms of transfers, I'm with Aaron, and I think, based on my own information as well, I think we're pretty much done. I mean, Unai Emery said it yesterday. He doesn't really lie. So, I think it's pretty much done.
So then we're going to the end of the podcast, Louis and Aaron. So, Louis, before we let you go, so what have you been up to? And will you be doing work during the World Cup?
Well, it's in mine and Aaron's neighborhood. So yes, I will be doing some stuff. I left ESPN in September, so I'm working for different people, contributing to Yahoo Sports, contributing to The Guardian, and then in 2026, my aim is to just continue to work for different people. In terms of who exactly I'll be covering for, right now I'm in conversations, but yes, I'll be definitely covering the World Cup in one way or another for sure.
Yeah, it means in June. You also got America, Mexico, and Canada.
Yeah, that's right.
I managed to get
the ESPN
somehow.
Yeah. You managed to get some tickets, Aaron, you said?
Where are you going?
Going to Brazil against Haiti in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, amazing.
Oh, wow, that's an amazing experience.
And that's on Juneteenth as well. So that's going to be an absolute celebration of a party.
Mate, come along, man. If you're free, come, man. Come Philly.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to see Brazil, Scotland, and Miami because I want to see John McGinn melt.
I wanted to get. I was hoping I'd get Brazil, Scotland, but it was Brazil.
Poor John McGinn. He's gonna melt.
Yeah, I know.
No, but the big one, the big game, Chad, the big game, just from a audience perspective, is Colombia-Portugal, because Colombia-Portugal is going to be in Miami Gardens, and the biggest South American audience in this country is Colombia, and it's going to feel like they're in Barranquilla because it's going to be a massive massive game. I interviewed Luis Diaz in December, and he can't wait for that game. He's very excited. So that's going to be a bit. Nobody's going to get tickets to that.
And then where's the final?
The finals at MetLife, right here in New Jersey. Yeah, the final and semifinals are in MetLife, right here in New Jersey, right on the border of right where the New York Giants and the New York Jets play.
Well, Louis, thank you. You've been a great guest. I always love your passion.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And I love coming here. It was lovely to meet Aaron for the first time. It's always great, as Aaron was mentioning earlier, to talk to just level-headed, nice Villa fans. Sometimes in the Premier League, that's a little tough to find. But no, it's great to be here. And again, I support everything you do and everything you do, obviously, for muscular dystrophy as well. And I support your cause. And I wish you guys nothing but the best.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, man.
And Aaron, anytime you want to get a coffee, Aaron, I'm right here in the city. So you
Mate, we'll exchange, man, for sure.
We'll connect.
Let's do it.
So thank you, everyone, for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. I need to get to 2K by the end of the season. And smash the likes on the video on your way out. Make sure to give it a share on all your socials. And if you're listening via audio, make sure to leave us a good review. That always helps. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I am going to wrap up this episode with Villa forever as always, and up the Villa.